There's an article I came across in the Daily Beast yesterday that just absolutely blew my mind because I hadn't heard about this story yet, even though, judging by the facts of it, I feel like it should have been a gigantic story, but it barely made a blip in the radar. So take a look. New Mexico school shooter had secret life on pro-Trump white supremacy sites. For years before William Edward Atchison killed 2 students and himself, he lived a shadow life online, one full of crude alt-right memes and praise for school shooters. So, I'm looking through this, and I'm like, okay, so they're doing a profile of a guy who was a shooter like a year ago. No, it just happened. The fucking shooting just happened. I barely heard about it. I didn't hear about it at all, actually, or else I would have fucking covered it. I didn't hear about it. They did cover it, but I missed it, but it wasn't covered that much. Because I'm on the news like a hawk, because I have to be. I mean, that's, like, what? It's really hard to wrap your mind around that fact. So that's how jaded we are now by the violence we have. We have violence on such a regular basis that when 2 people die in a shooting, it's like, that'll make the local news, but national, really? It's only 2 people. I mean, that's the... Oh, man, is that scary. Because this happens in any other country. It's like, whoa, let's talk about it for a week, because holy shit. But here, I fucking didn't even see it. I'm like a week late, but I saw this article. And then when you get the other facts of it, you go, oh my goodness. Wow, was this newsworthy? So, let me give you some more information. They say, at the murder scene, police found a note that read, if things go according to plan, today would be when I die. I go somewhere and gear up, then hold a class hostage and go apeshit, then blow my brains out. He wrote, work sucks, school sucks, life sucks, I just want out of this shit. So he's a 21-year-old kid from New Mexico. He's white supremacist, massively pro-Trump, and they describe him as a meme peddler. He was most known for his obsession with school shooters. For half a decade, they say, this kid spent most of his days online, repeatedly posting threats of violence and cries for help. He posted on the Daily Stormer website, neo-Nazi website. He would do that all the time. And when he was on the Daily Stormer, the other users who were familiar with him would often ask him, hey man, how's your manifesto going? So he's working on a manifesto. It was known that he's working on a manifesto. What the fuck? In fact, there was so much evidence that something's wrong here with this kid. The FBI visited him in 2016. They visited him in 2016. They did a quick investigation, but they realized, nah, he's just, a kid. Because what argument did he make to the FBI? He was apparently cooperative with the FBI. And he goes, no, I just troll people. It's just satire. It's irony. It's satire. I'm just trolling people. That's all. That's what I do. And so they were like, oh, all right, I guess so. And then they let him be. So his online friends, who the Daily Beast, I guess, spoke to, said he was obsessed with Columbine. That's, almost like the godfather of all the other mass shootings, school shootings in particular. On Steam, which is an online video game store and community, Atchison used the reviews section to criticize Wolfenstein games, which are set in World War II era Germany. He said this, quote, I find this game highly offensive for featuring mass murder against your own race. In another review, he wrote, R.I.P. Hitler. He said, quote, how am I supposed to function in this world? Wherever I go, I see degeneracy, pointless materialism, hedonism, sexual decay, dirty N-words who do nothing but slowly break down this society, etc. It's fucking everywhere. No way to escape it. 99% of people are part of it, and whatever I do, I am confronted with the death of the West. Go to the store and buy groceries in peace? Nope. Here's a group of LGBT liberal filth in line with you. And there's an N-word family with 10 kids over there. And a Finn, too, but he's overweight as fuck, and he's buying alcohol and shit junk food. Fucking fantastic. I used to think that this was a phase and we'd get over it, but I have now come to realize that I was born into a literal dystopia. You think he has problems? And then here are the facts that it's hard to digest that this kid got away with what he did when this was a matter of public record and this was known. And presumably some of these were even known by the FBI when they went to visit him in 2016. He posted online on various sites under the names Adam Lanza, mass shooter. In fact, I think he's the one that did the Sandy Hook massacre. Satanic Druggie, Elliot Roger, who I think is another mass shooter. Anders Breivik. You remember him, right? The Christian terrorist from Scandinavia. And then these two were just school shooter. He posts under that name, and future mass shooter. So, how do we not prevent this one, you know? And, okay, you could say it's easy to Monday morning quarterback it. Is that the phrase? Is that the saying? I don't know. It's easy to look back and go, yeah, well, we should have stopped this one. We could have stopped this one. But, I mean, how could anybody have put any more evidence out there that something was going to happen? And, you know, I'm not sure if the FBI thought, hey, there's zero crimes we could get him on. But isn't this a situation where you almost look like they got Al Capone on tax evasion? Like, can't you fucking find something for this kid? Or even, let's say you don't, go the criminal route, but you get the kid help. Some sort of mental health program or something. And by the way, they go on to explain how there were signs everywhere. So on a lot of sites, he's posting under the names fucking Adam Lanza, Anders Breivik, school shooter, and future mass shooter. But then on other sites, on the ones that aren't forums for gamers or whatever, or for alt-right people, he would go to more respectable sites and literally write about how he needs help. And he would plead for help from people. He would say, listen, my dad's an idiot, fat, lazy idiot who watches Fox News all day. My mom's a drunk. I'm living in a place that I think is a shithole. I'm miserable. How do I stop myself from fucking going and doing mass shootings? And I'm sorry to make this point, but you have to make this point because I think it's true that if you just flip the radicalization and it's a young Arab kid, a young Muslim kid, and remove all the alt-right neo-Nazi stuff, white supremacist stuff, with Muslim fundamentalist stuff, with jihadist stuff, then I think when the FBI visits him, he does get taken out in cuffs and they prevent an attack. I really do believe that. Or at least he would have stayed on their radar. It looks like in 2016, they were like, all right, we're going to clear this kid. He's just a troll. Let's move on. But if you have somebody online, singing the praises of Osama bin Laden or Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi and having screen names like, I don't know, future suicide bomber, they would have went, oh my God, just get him, stop him, do something. But they didn't. They weren't able to prevent it. And he was able to get guns. Think about that. He was able to get firearms given his record. Can't we at least prevent that? Now, I get it. If he happens to get them on the black market, what are you going to do? There's nothing you could do to stop that. But, if he got them legally, then what the fuck are we doing? Do we have no reasonable gun laws? And by the way, I think this article was very telling because how they effectively described, they spoke to some radicalization experts for this piece from the Southern Poverty Law Center. And the guys from the Southern Poverty Law Center were like, you really see the perfect storm of everything that goes into radicalizing somebody, whether it's radicalizing to be a neo-Nazi or radicalizing to be a school shooter, radicalizing to be a Muslim fundamentalist, terrorist, jihadist. They say you have super troubled people. They do indeed have mental illness, and they've immersed themselves in a culture of violence that preaches ideological violence. So it's a mix of all those things. You have to almost be predisposed in a way to fall for it in the first place. You have severe mental issues, and then you also, there's the giant ideological component of, if you're on Daily Stormer all day, you know, or if you're on some fucking ISIS message board all day, then it all comes together, and then you have a situation like we had here. But the number of warning signs were fucking mind-blowing. And again, the media is the worst part of this because, well, I mean, obviously, the shooter, him himself, he's the worst part of it. But the fact that this was barely fucking covered. Again, flip it with a Muslim, and I think it's, it would be... You had there was just a failed bombing in New York. A failed bombing that got way more coverage than somebody who's a school shooter who killed 2 people, blew his own brains out, and has this story. And by the way, this one, what they say in the article is, he started out looking like he was just trolling, but then by the end it looked like he actually had become, you know, an ideological menace. Like he started to really believe the neo-Nazi white supremacist shit. So, you know, to me, you read that, you go, okay, well then why aren't you calling him a terrorist? Because that would be the definition of terrorism. You have the same facts, except replace white supremacy with jihadism, and I think everybody in the country calls him a terrorist. But the facts, and it's white supremacy, and he kills people, and you saw a really strong ideological component to it online with white supremacy and neo-Nazism. That sounds to me like terrorism. Now, I get that this one, there's a little bit of an open question, because in his final note, he talks about how everything sucks, and, well, if you're doing it because for that reason, because you think everything sucks, well, then you're a mass shooter. But if you're doing it because, like Dylan Roof, I want to start the fucking race war, and here's my manifesto, well, then that's terrorism. So I don't know if they found a fucking manifesto at home or whatever from him, but if they do, and if there's evidence that he clearly did it because of his white supremacy, or if there's evidence he, for example, didn't shoot black kids but shot black and brown kids, targeted them, again, that would be further evidence that perhaps this is a terrorist attack. So, but of course, it's sad, but we're never going to use the terms the accurate way in the U.S., And what's even more sad is that what I found is that people on the left, their reaction is, let's stop using the word terrorism. But I don't know why that would be your reaction. Your reaction should be, no, let's keep using it, but use it accurately. So in other words, use the word terrorism when it's a Muslim terror attack or it's a white supremacist terror attack. But it seems to me like, at least from what I've seen, maybe you guys have seen something differently, but like the reaction from many people on the left now is that, when there's a Muslim terror attack, they don't want to use the word, they don't want to say terror attack, or they want to try to take that word like, oh, it's a fucking tainted word because we only use it when it's convenient and when it fits the narrative, so let's not use it anymore. No, the answer is use it and use it accurately. So, terrorism is violence done against civilians for a political or religious reason. So if that's the case, then that's terrorism. So Dylan Roof's a terrorist and fucking, Osama bin Laden's a terrorist. I don't know why it's so hard to have that be your standard. But of course, again, the government doesn't go by that. The government says Dylan Roof is a mass shooter. And, obviously Osama bin Laden's a terrorist. So it'd be nice if we use it objectively. And it'd be nice if this got a little bit more coverage. Because again, I didn't see it and I'm like a week late to it. And I follow the news religiously. So, but there you have it. Another mass shooting. And all the warning signs were there. And we still weren't able to stop it. And again, I don't know. You tell me. Is it mass shooting? Is it terror attack? Is it 50-50? Whatever it is, it's fucking heartbreaking.